before Marcus Aurelius taught us to face death without fear, desire without surrender, and hardship without complaint. He started with something quieter, something more ordinary, something more human. He began with gratitude. Book 1 of Meditations isn't where he teaches. It's where he remembers. It's a journal of thanks, not for things, but for people. Each line is a tribute. Each lesson, a brick in the foundation of the man he became. There are no grand Stoic declarations here. Just the quiet recognition that character isn't born. It's inherited, mirrored, and modeled. From my grandfather Varus, I learned good morals and the government of my temper. Marcus begins with emotion, not logic. Before talking about control, death, philosophy, he talks about temper, not the elimination of it, but its government. This isn't suppression. This is self-rule, a reminder that we all have inner flames, and greatness isn't never being angry. It's choosing how you burn. Modern analogy: imagine your temper like a wildfire. When ungoverned, it consumes everything: your words, your peace, your relationships. But governed, it becomes heat, warmth, fuel, discipline. Marcus learned that from his grandfather, a man known for his restraint and balance, not for conquest, but for composure. Marcus lived in a Rome that rewarded spectacle. Outbursts were common in politics. Rage was currency in war. To learn restraint in that world, it wasn't just noble, it was radical. And Marcus knew that to govern an empire, he had to govern himself first. From the reputation and remembrance of my father, modesty, and a manly character. He didn't have much time with his father, he died young. But Marcus still thanks him, not for his presence, but for his reputation. This tells us something huge. Even absent people shape us. Even memory can teach. What are you still learning from people who are no longer in your life? Parents, mentors, friends, even strangers. Some shaped your kindness, others your discipline, some shaped your caution. Marcus was raised by whispers, stories, legacies, and from that, he learned modesty and quiet strength. From my mother, piety and beneficence and abstinence, not only from evil deeds, but even from evil thoughts. This is deep. It's not about what you do. It's about what you allow yourself to even think. Abstinence from evil thoughts. This is where Stoicism becomes internal. Marcus wasn't just taught behavior, he was taught purity of mind. His mother shaped his internal code, not just how he moved through the world, but how he moved through his own mind. You can fake kindness, you can smile and still resent, you can act moral but think violently. Marcus is saying, true mastery starts in the silence of your own mind. From my great-grandfather, not to go to the public schools, but to have had good teachers at home. This might seem elitist, but Marcus isn't attacking education. He's honoring intimacy in learning. He was taught deliberately, not broadly, but deeply. It's like ignoring social media for a private mentor. It's not about the quantity of lessons. It's about the quality of the one teaching you. Marcus didn't learn from crowds. He learned from curated wisdom, and that distinction would guide how he approached the rest of his life. Less noise, more signal. From Diognetus, not to busy myself about trifling things. This is one of the most underrated Stoic insights. Don't waste energy on the small, not because it's unimportant, but because you are. Your time, your energy, your mind. These are sacred resources. To spend them arguing about status, gossip, vanity, is to betray your own potential. Think of your mind like a budget. You only have so much to spend. Every time you dwell on something petty, You're spending energy that could have gone toward your growth. Marcus was learning how to preserve the currency of his attention. From my great-grandfather, not to go to public schools, but to have good teachers at home. At first glance, this sounds elitist, but look deeper, and it's about intentional learning. Marcus is pointing to the value of quiet, focused mentorship versus being thrown into the loud chaos of popular opinion. He's saying, don't let the crowd raise your mind. Choose who shapes your thoughts. It's like choosing your YouTube subscriptions. You can let algorithms feed you random voices, or you can curate what you consume. In Marcus's time, the public school was a place where ideas got diluted by ego. But real wisdom, that was passed down, in silence, between individuals, face to face. From Diognetus, not to busy myself about trifling things. This is one of the most Stoic lines in the book. Trifling things, smallness, petty drama, ego games, useless talk. Marcus is reminding himself, don't trade your peace for distractions. You know when you spend 20 minutes in a comment section, arguing with someone you'll never meet, over something that has nothing to do with your purpose? That's trifling things. The cost isn't just time, it's energy, attention, presence, and peace. Not to busy myself about miracle workers and wizards. This tells us something deep. Even in ancient Rome, people were chasing spectacle. They wanted shortcuts, magic answers, anything that would skip the inner work. But Diognetus taught him. Truth doesn't dazzle. It grounds. What miracle are you still hoping will save you? The person, the opportunity, the overnight success. Marcus says, don't get lost in fantasy. Root yourself in real growth. From Rusticus, I received the impression that my character required improvement and discipline. Rusticus was Marcus's reality check. He didn't coddle him. He showed him what was missing, and Marcus loved him for it. Can you imagine being the emperor of Rome and still being told you need more discipline? That's humility. That's growth mindset. That's ego in check. It's like that one friend who pulls you aside and says, you're slipping. You're better than this. You're not living at your level. Do you push them away, or do you thank them? Marcus thanked Rusticus. He knew that flattery is cheap, but correction, that's gold, and not to be led astray into sophist confidence. Sophists were smooth talkers. They knew how to sound wise, but often lacked truth. Rusticus taught him the difference between appearing strong and being strong. You can sound right, look smart, quote philosophy, post polished takes on social media, but that doesn't mean you're rooted. Rusticus reminded Marcus to check his substance, to not confuse cleverness for character. From Apollonius' True Freedom, never to complain. This is one of the most quietly powerful teachings in the book. True freedom is never to complain. Not because you're emotionless, not because you're numb, but because your inner world doesn't depend on outer approval. Let this sink in. Complaining is often a disguised form of asking the world to change for you. But Marcus learned from Apollonius, real power is changing yourself instead. Picture someone stuck in traffic. They honk, they yell, they blame, but none of that moves the cars. All it does is disturb their own peace. Now imagine someone sitting in that same traffic, breathing, observing, at peace. That's Apollonius. That's freedom. From Sextus, to appear without affectation, and to do acts of kindness without noise. This line is pure gold. Marcus admired Sextus for appearing wise without acting like he was wise. No ego, no drama, just presence. This is what we now call quiet strength. Sextus didn't need credit, didn't demand recognition. He just did the right thing, then walked away. Think of a janitor who cleans the whole room after everyone leaves, then locks up without a word. Compare that to someone who records themselves giving money to a stranger. Same action, but one is virtue. The other is performance. Marcus admired kindness that was genuine, not curated. That's Sextus. And from him, Marcus learned that true wisdom doesn't need applause. From Alexander the grammarian, not to be critical about language and conversation, but to speak appropriately and clearly. Alexander taught Marcus a rare social skill. Don't correct people to feel superior, even if you're right. What matters more, being precise or being kind? Alexander could have flexed his knowledge. Instead, he listened. He spoke to connect, not correct. Someone says, "I literally died laughing." Do you interrupt to explain that literally is used wrong? Or do you smile, knowing the message is more important than the grammar? Marcus admired that restraint, that humility, that subtle wisdom. From Fronto, to understand the cruelty of tyranny and the insincerity of those who serve it. Fronto was one of Marcus's teachers. He helped Marcus see what fake loyalty looks like. People who flatter the powerful, people who smile while scheming, people who offer support to control. This still happens in politics, at work, even in relationships. Fronto helped Marcus detect the difference between allegiance and manipulation, praise and power games. He was learning how to spot fake loyalty so he wouldn't become a fake leader. From Alexander the Platonic, not often and without necessity to say or write to anyone that I have no leisure. This one hits hard, especially today. Alexander taught Marcus that you don't need to explain your boundaries all the time. You don't need to make dramatic excuses. Just live your values. You don't have to say, "I'm cutting people off this year. I'm done with fake friends. I'm on my self-love journey." Just be unavailable, be quieter, be focused, and let your absence be your boundary. From Catullus, not to be indifferent to the complaints of even the meanest person. This is so important. Catullus taught Marcus, compassion isn't selective. Even the people who annoy you, who are beneath your rank, who are hard to love, still deserve to be heard. Think of a leader who only listens to their inner circle. They become blind, isolated, weak. But a great leader, a Stoic, listens to everyone, not because they agree, but because truth hides in unlikely places. From my brother Severus, to love my family, to love truth, and to love justice. Severus wasn't just his brother. He was a role model for values in action. Love, truth, justice. That trio shows up over and over in Marcus's writing. He's reminding himself, if it's not loving, it's not truth. If it's not just, it's not strength. Who's the person in your life that reminded you what matters, not through speeches, but through how they lived? That's what Severus gave him, not ideas, embodied values. From Maximus, self-mastery, cheerfulness in all circumstances, and a look that was at once gentle and dignified. This might be one of the most important lines in all of Book 1. Maximus showed Marcus how to lead, not through dominance, but through dignity. He had a gentle strength. He was composed, but approachable, disciplined, but joyful. Think of someone you know who walks into a room and instantly calms it. Not because they speak loudly, but because their presence speaks for them. That was Maximus. Cheerfulness in all circumstances. This one's big. It doesn't mean forced positivity. It means emotional resilience. Marcus admired Maximus because he remained composed, even in pain loss, or difficulty. Smiling when life is perfect? Easy? Smiling when nothing's going your way? That's wisdom. Maximus didn't fake joy. He just didn't let outer events ruin his inner world. You don't control the storm, but you do control how still you remain inside it. That's what Marcus saw in Maximus: stillness, warmth, weight, grace. From my adoptive father, mildness of temper and unchangeable resolution in the things he had determined after due deliberation. Marcus was adopted by Antoninus Pius, a man known for virtue, steadiness, and control. He didn't lash out. He didn't sway with the crowd. He didn't let his power corrupt him, and Marcus loved him for it. Key phrase: unchangeable resolution in the things he had determined after due deliberation. Translation: decide slowly, but once you do, don't flinch. That's leadership. Imagine you're on a ship. A storm hits, everyone panics. The captain pauses, checks the wind, makes a decision, and then he sticks to it. That's what Marcus learned from Antoninus. Be deliberate. Then be unwavering. He appeared at all times the same, doing the same things in the same way. This is subtle power. Marcus is describing consistency, not performance. Antoninus didn't need to impress anyone. He didn't change around different people. He was predictable in the best way. You could count on him. We think leaders need to inspire us, but most of all, we need them to be steady. When everything is uncertain, a steady presence is worth gold. Antoninus was that presence. He knew how to be superior to flatterers and to bear with those who blamed him unjustly. This is another test of power. Antoninus didn't let praise go to his head and didn't let criticism break his peace. That's true inner confidence. Ask yourself, can you take a compliment without needing more of it? Can you handle criticism without spinning out? Marcus saw this balance in his adoptive father, and he trained himself to carry it forward. He was indifferent to idle applause and able to restrain all passion. Indifferent to idle applause. Think about that in today's world, where everything is built around being seen, liked, followed. Antoninus didn't need applause because he already knew who he was. You don't chase praise when you're rooted in principle. You don't fear criticism when your decisions come from truth. That's what Marcus inherited from him. Not fame, not tricks, not perfection, but rootedness. He was content with few things. This line alone is a meditation. Antoninus wasn't poor, he was emperor, but Marcus admired how he didn't need excess. He was content with simplicity, with minimalism, with purpose. Cairo Valtor translation. To lead many, you must need little. The less you cling to, the more clearly you think. The less you fear loss, the more freely you move. That's Antoninus. And that's the version of man Marcus was sculpting himself into. He lived soberly, not in the manner of one who affects to do so, but naturally and without pretense. This right here is what Marcus admired most in Antoninus: simplicity without performance. There's a difference between trying to appear humble and simply being humble. Antoninus wasn't dramatic about his discipline. He didn't post it. He didn't declare it. He just lived it, quietly, consistently, fully. Imagine two monks. One walks barefoot and tells you why. The other walks barefoot and says nothing. One seeks recognition. The other just is. Antoninus was the second, and Marcus took notes. He took reasonable care of his body's health, but did not value life at too high a price. Balance. He wasn't reckless, but he wasn't obsessed with living forever either. He cared for his health, but didn't worship it. That's a forgotten lesson today. We chase wellness to the point of fear of aging, fear of change, fear of losing youth. Antoninus shows us, care for your body, but don't make it your identity. You are not your image, you are your integrity. He was fond of inquiry and patient in hearing others. True wisdom listens. It doesn't assume. It doesn't interrupt. Antoninus was curious. Even when he had power, he didn't think rank made him right. He didn't talk over others just because he could. He remained a student, always. How often do you assume you already know? How often do you wait to respond, not to understand, but to win? Marcus saw his father listen deeply. That humility stayed with him. He had the happiest faculty of discovering and placing in the right way men who had the faculty of ruling others. This is legacy leadership. Antoninus didn't just lead well, he found other leaders. He wasn't threatened by greatness in others, he empowered it. A weak man fears being replaced. A strong man prepares others to rise. A wise man steps back and lets them. That was Antoninus. And Marcus wanted to inherit not just the throne, but that mindset. He honored true philosophers, but without ostentation. This is a massive, Stoic moment. Antoninus admired the wise, but he didn't name-drop them, didn't wear robes to prove it, didn't flash intellect like jewelry. He let the ideas shape his actions, not just his reputation. It's easy to quote Marcus Aurelius. It's harder to live like him. Antoninus showed Marcus what it looked like to embody the wisdom without performing it. That distinction is everything. His way was to be satisfied with few things, to be gentle and indifferent to what many others valued greatly. This is Stoicism in a sentence. He didn't crave, he didn't chase, he didn't cling. He valued peace over prestige, clarity over clutter, stillness over spectacle. And that energy? It moved through Marcus like a quiet flame. He was firm in friendship, consistent with his decisions, and never hurried or confused in business. More lessons. Loyalty without drama. Decisiveness without ego. Calm under pressure. Marcus is painting a picture of a man so steady, you'd think he was made of stone, but warm stone, living stone. That's Antoninus. This whole chapter isn't just a tribute, it's a mirror. Marcus is listing the virtues he wanted to become. This isn't a list of thank yous, it's a blueprint, a reminder of the men and women who shaped his fire, not with force, but with consistency, grace, silence, and clarity. He was careful of the property of the treasury and public works, and patient in enduring opposition. Marcus doesn't just admire character, he admires how Antoninus handled responsibility. He took care of public resources. He didn't cut corners. And when others disagreed with him, he listened. He didn't explode. He didn't fight to win. He endured. That's emotional discipline, the heart of Stoicism. Imagine leading a project at work. You've got limited resources. People are doubting your decisions. You're stretched thin. Do you lash out? Or do you keep your center and finish the work with grace? Antoninus finished with grace. He had a mind equal to all events, whether great or small. This is the Stoic ideal in one sentence. A mind equal to all events. Not too excited when things go well, not crushed when they go wrong, just rooted. Antoninus wasn't numb, he was calm, and Marcus worshipped that. He was able to refrain from all impure passion and pleasures. In a world of indulgence, Antoninus practiced temperance. He didn't chase pleasure. He didn't need vice to feel alive. Not because he hated joy, but because he chose clarity over chaos. What are you still reaching for? not because it fulfills you, but because it distracts you. Antoninus didn't numb himself. He simplified himself. His friendships were not casual, but sincere and lasting. Read that again. Marcus saw a man who didn't chase popularity, but invested in quiet loyalty. No surface-level relationships, no transactional bonds, just real ones, built over time, held with care. In today's world, connections can be shallow, but Stoicism teaches that a few real bonds are worth more than 1,000 followers. Marcus learned that from his father. He was satisfied with everything that happened and content with whatever was handed to him by fate. This is the ultimate Stoic mindset. Antoninus didn't resist life. He accepted it, not passively, but with poise. He didn't say, "I deserve more." He said, "Let me meet this moment with grace." That's power. He loved work and action, was never lazy or evasive, and wasn't obsessed with retirement or pleasure. Marcus saw a man who didn't escape life. He engaged it. Even in old age, Antoninus didn't run from duty. He didn't seek a villa and a vineyard to retire to. He kept serving, kept showing up. Sometimes purpose doesn't end. Sometimes the reward isn't rest. It's doing what matters one more time. That's the fire Antoninus passed down. In short, he lived like a man who was always prepared to leave life and had nothing to fear in death. This is where Marcus closes Book 1, with death, but not in fear, in readiness. Antoninus lived in such a way that if he had to die tomorrow, nothing would be left unsaid. No regret, no clinging, just peace. You don't have to live forever. You just have to live so well that you could die today, and it would be enough. Final reflection. Cairo. Valtor. Book 1 of Meditations is not about philosophy. It's about people, about the impressions they leave. Marcus wasn't born wise. He collected wisdom from everyone around him. He wasn't trying to show off. He was grounding himself. He wrote these names to remind himself where he came from, what mattered, and who he never wanted to stop becoming. And you, who shaped you, whose calm taught you to breathe, whose mistakes taught you restraint, whose absence taught you presence. Write your own Book 1, not for publication, but for alignment. So when you forget who you are, you can remember who taught you to be. This was Cairo Valtor, a quiet reflection on the first words of the last emperor-philosopher. Until next time, walk steady, choose few, remember deep.